Welcome to Leading in Luxury, the podcast where we dive deep into the strategies and stories shaping the boutique and luxury hospitality industry. I'm your host, Daniel Renna. For those of you just joining us, we are DMR AI Hospitality Solutions, and we specialize in helping the boutique and luxury hospitality industry scale their revenue and profitability by acquiring new clients. We believe in leveraging cutting-edge technology to enhance, not replace, the human element of hospitality. Today, we have a truly distinguished guest, Richard Oliver. Richard is the founder of Wieldy Digital, a company at the forefront of hotel automation, providing smartphone-based self-service check-in and smart lock solutions. With 20 years of experience in the hotel technology, from GDS and channel management to his time at TripAdvisor, Richard brings an invaluable perspective on how technology can disrupt, streamline, and ultimately improve the luxury guest experience. Richard, it's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Daniel. It's a pleasure to be on.
Indeed. Your career has spanned 2 decades in hotel technology, witnessing massive shifts from traditional GDS to the rise of OTAs and now the push for automation. Can you start by telling us about your journey into hotel tech and what inspired you to found Wieldy Digital, especially after your experience with the challenges of hardware-based kiosks?
Yeah, absolutely. So it all started really whenever I studied computing and information systems at university. And I studied in Belfast, Northern Ireland. And shortly after graduating, pretty much 20 years to this day, actually, I moved to London. And I took a job selling a soft brand and the GDS connectivity into independent hotels. And with a number of roles in between, all of a similar nature, I haven't left the hotel tech space since. So it was actually in 2018, I decided to go out on my own. And I founded Wieldy. And we started off actually providing a self-service check-in kiosk. It was a big clunky piece of hardware that was stationed in the hotel lobby. After a number of years of hardware failures and very expensive callouts to repair, it dawned on me we can offer the same and even better functionality on the smartphone. After all, everybody's got a smartphone these days and it's accessible from the pocket. So what we did was we ditched the kiosk a few years ago. And we've moved everything onto the smartphone. And the bonus is there's no more hardware faults. Our keyless entry solution is 100% web-based. So what we've built is Wieldy, and people are probably familiar with Unwieldy. Well, Wieldy is the opposite of that. Wieldy is easily handled. So that's really where we've come from, and easily handled being the mobile phone and how you can actually use that to access a hotel room and check in online and all the rest of it. So more broadly, Wieldy it's a virtual reception for guest check-in and room access. We provide our own smart locks with the PMS integrations to automate either a passcode or a web key straight to the guest's smartphone. And just to really unpack that a little bit more, what we're doing is we're sending a WhatsApp and email, which is automated to the guest 24 hours before they arrive, or within 10 minutes if the booking is made within that 24-hour window. And within the communication the guest gets, they get a unique passcode for the public doors, that's a front door entrance or a side door, and also for the guest rooms that they've booked. We can also offer the option of getting a unique URL to access a web app, so the guest can actually do a web check-in and then access a digital key once they've checked in on the web app. But it's purely web-based. There's no app download required for that latter option.
I think it's such a fascinating journey, truly at the cutting edge of hotel technology evolution. And it's clear that you've learned valuable lessons from past innovations, especially the pivot from kiosks to smartphone-based solutions. That's such a smart and almost obvious way of doing it, but not necessarily something that people would necessarily think about at the time, especially. Wieldy Digital's solution automates access via smart locks and PIN codes, directly addressing the rising costs and high turnover in hospitality. For your core market of independent hotels, particularly those around the 20-bedroom mark, what are the most significant operational and financial benefits they experience by eliminating or significantly reducing the need for a 24-hour reception manager? And how does this automation directly impact their profitability and efficiency?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Speaking on behalf of the UK hotel market, operating costs have skyrocketed over the last few years for hoteliers, such as an increase in national insurance contribution for employees. The minimum wage has increased. Energy prices have gone up exponentially and rent's gone up. in addition to the general cost of hotel supplies, whether that's food or wine or shampoo, shower gel, all the rest of it. So in order to really make a profit, hoteliers have been forced to cut costs while maintaining an average daily rate that is considered affordable for a healthy occupancy. Really talking into the biggest cost, which is staffing. Sadly, the hospitality industry has one of the highest turnovers. What I mean by that is, staff leaving a job as a reception manager. And my heart really goes out to hotel managers and hotel owners that have spent weeks, training a reception manager only to find that they've left a few weeks later to find another job. So in my view, these challenges can really only create a massive opportunity for hotels. And that really is to replace the menial day-to-day tasks with automation using technology. To use an example of that, if you have a hotel manager at a small independent hotel having a number of late check-ins in one particular evening and them just having to wait around to check these guests in, on many occasions, this particular member of staff will simply just be handing over a key card, ensuring the guest has made payment, all of which can be checked and automated via technology.
Well, well, that makes sense. I'm just thinking about that. Those are really compelling benefits, especially for an independent properties facing the tight margins like you talked about. And you've clearly found a way to replace the mundane job of check-in, freeing up the resources. You also mentioned that while your solution uses AI in the sense of automating human tasks, it's not yet delving into machine learning or evolving with data. For luxury and boutique hotels, where personalization and a bespoke experience are paramount, how do you see the balance between this kind of efficient, logical automation and the need for human interaction? And how can properties reinvest the savings from automation into guest relations to ensure a truly luxurious and memorable stay?
Yeah, so what I would argue is that it is not always the case where luxury is associated with high touch when it comes to specifically checking in guests and giving them access to rooms. Whether you're a budget hotel or a luxury hotel, if you have a guest arriving late, what I can assure you is neither guest will want to wait around at a reception to speak to someone and get a key card. No matter how luxurious your reception or front of house is, they just want to go straight to their room. They're tired. They had a delayed flight potentially. They just want to go straight to their room. So luxury hotels can certainly offer automation. However, what I'll say is it's critical to make it optional. So therefore, giving the guest advance warning through pre-stay communications that they very much look forward to welcoming them. However, they also offer a self-service check-in available on their mobile phone, and explaining with this option you can bypass reception and go straight to your room. And I think in this day and age, giving the guest the option is in itself offering greater customer service than only offering one way to check in and access your room key. To offer automation and keep a high touch culture.
Mm-hmm.
The same reception manager that previously would have been checking the guest in and handing out the key cards, well, they could welcome the guest as they entered the door and ask them, have they managed to check in online and access their digital key? And with a tablet, like an iPad or a tablet in hand, he or she could then invite the guest to any upsells, for example, checkout, dinner reservation. So this is all real added upsell. It's just replacing something that can be automated with something that is high touch, that can really invest in the guest relation and get more value out of the guest, essentially.
And that's a really critical distinction, and it really highlights the ongoing evolution also of, like you were saying, of technology and hospitality. You also noted that Airbnb's simple code-based access has normalized the idea of digital keys, pushing hotels to emulate this convenience, so it shouldn't be that foreign to people. Looking ahead, as Wieldy Digital aims to shift its revenue model more towards software as a service by integrating with various lock brands and PMS systems, what do you anticipate will be the biggest challenges and opportunities for independent luxury hotels in adopting a fully automated digital guest journey? And how can these properties ensure a seamless and secure experience for all guests, including those who might be less tech-savvy, while still leveraging the full potential of such systems for efficiency and guest satisfaction?
Yeah, well, I think the biggest risk in not offering mobile keys or keyless entry is not meeting the guests' expectations. You've touched on Airbnb and that's how that's shifted a lot of the kind of phenomenal movement for keyless entry. But also, if you look at the hard brand hotels, for example, the Hiltons and Marriotts, they're all offering this in one way or another, whether it's through their mobile app or in other ways. So the risk is that the guest staying at a high-end independent hotel will expect the same kind of options they got from the Hilton or the Marriott or part of the bigger chains. So that's a big risk, just not meeting that guest's expectation. Another
Right.
risk I feel is falling behind competition. If you have in your comp set, you have a competitor that's offering and very much promoting their keyless entry, they're cutting back on the 24-hour night manager or reception manager, they could be reinvesting this in marketing, guest relations, and by doing so, it really gives them a competitive advantage. But again, what you mentioned there about ensuring that it feels secure to the guest, that's
Right.
obviously very important. What I can say is that every code and web key we send out is unique, specific to the guest stay. So if they're checking in at a certain time, based on what the PMS tells us, they will not be able to check in before that. And once they check out, that code will be deactivated, or that web key will be deactivated. There's no chance of, once they leave, being able to use that code or web key again.
Right.
And also just bearing in mind, the elder guests as well. I think that's important as well, that some of them may just not, may not want to use that kind of a service. And that's why you always need to have a backup, whether that is someone at reception. For the smaller hotels, it might be as simple as having a key card or even a metal key in one of these key safes outside the property or inside it. There is other
Right.
ways that, the smaller properties can manage that. But for bigger hotels, the likelihood is they will have staff of some kind working there and able to assist those more kind of maybe less tech savvy guests.
No. Thank you. And you know what, Richard, I want to say that your insights into hotel technology automation, but most importantly, I think the evolving guest journey are really, really incredible. And I really want to thank you for that. You've painted a clear picture of the challenges and opportunities in streamlining operations while enhancing the luxury experience. Now, looking at everything we've discussed, from replacing mundane tasks with smart automation to reinvesting in guest relations and navigating the future of digital access, if you had a magic wand and could fix just one thing in the independent luxury hospitality sector that would most significantly enable these properties to achieve both optimal operational efficiency and an unparalleled personalized guest experience, what would that one thing be?
Well, I think there's a few things, but I'll just focus on a couple of them. But it would really be the tech stack. So starting off with the property management system, also known as the acronym PMS. It's really important that they're looking to use the right PMS. There is lots of PMS in the market. I think there's about probably 600 available to choose from. They're not all web-based. So what I would say is make sure you choose, your core system, make sure it's a web-based system. And the reason for that is, if it's web-based, it means that other third-party software providers like ourselves can integrate to that platform. And do all kinds of things. They have a kind of endless choice of different third parties that they can then introduce into their tech stack or their the foundational PMS that they have. So that would be really, really important. Make sure they're using a cloud-based or web-based PMS. I would suggest really looking into that. And then also having smart locks. Smart locks are, it's not just a case of having a lock that you can use an RFID key card. That's not actually a smart lock. A smart lock is really essentially when you can connect that lock to the your Wi-Fi, and then you can connect these smart locks to the Wi-Fi directly or via a gateway bridge. It really depends. But as long as it's got the smart lock functionality inside the lock, that's really important. And then once you've got the web-based property management system and smart locks installed in your hotel, then companies like ourselves can then integrate. We can create that bridge, that central place and bridge, and we can speak to the PMS. We can then speak to the lock, and we can generate codes that then are time limited and specific to a guest, and we can do all kinds of things like that. So that really would be my advice, is to make sure you have the latest kind of web-based property management system and smart locks installed, and then you can do all kinds of things with automation. Then it gets very, very exciting. Really, just finally, I would just say my view is to offer offer guest options. I really want to clarify options, for online check-in and keyless entry, and make it clear that you do, if you're a luxury independent, make sure you do offer a fully staffed front of house. You're very much waiting to greet guests and assist them with anything, but you also offer a self-service option. And if you want to bypass reception and go straight to your room, we can very much accommodate that with our cutting edge, mobile check-in and secure digital key access. And what they're going to find is actually guests really like the tech side of it, and being able to go to their room without having to visit the reception. And it has such a virtual impact that, they'll get guests going on to Booking.com and Expedia and writing positive reviews about how easy it was to, get to the room after, a tiring day of travel and whatever else. And yeah, so that would be my kind of final thoughts of advice.
Richard, I want to thank you so much for an absolutely captivating conversation. And your deep expertise in hotel technology and your vision for the future of automated guest services is truly, really inspiring. I want to thank you so much for joining us on Leading in Luxury.
Thank you so much, Daniel. I really appreciate it. It's been great to chat.
And to our listeners, if you found Richard's insights as compelling as I did, be sure to subscribe to our channel and drop us a like. You can find out more about Wieldy Digital in their innovative solutions in the description below. For Leading in Luxury, I'm Daniel Renna, and I'll see you next time.